The truth here is that black people do not trust white people. And if you look at the gravity of the situation of things that have happened from the past, we are still even so lenient. We are. Because if this thing was reversed, if reversed was the case, I pity us. We have someone here, Kelly. I think I've brought a discussion of hers here before now. How people are haunting her because of what she say. Listen to this and let's continue.
For white people who don't understand why so many black people don't trust us one stinking bit, I want to tell you a really hard story, but I encourage you to stick around because these are the kind of stories we need to know and understand. So, this young girl, 15, her name was Antoinette Rappel. She was white. She was raped and murdered and decapitated. Well, as police still like to do, they zeroed in on a convenient suspect. They zeroed in on a man named L. Persons. And the reason they zeroed in on him is because he lived near where her body was found, and he was a woodcutter. So he had cutting tools that could have cut off a head. Well, they arrested L, and then they didn't have enough evidence to convict him, so they let him go. But they didn't want to keep looking too hard, so they arrested him again. And this time, they beat him and tortured him until he signed a confession that, of course, they fed him. Later investigations found no evidence tying him to that crime. He just was doing his business at his home, but he happened to be black, so why not blame him, right? Well, before L. Persons could receive a trial, a mob decided that they'd rather do it themselves. Somehow, newspapers found out about this and announced that a lynching was going to happen on May 22nd, 1917. Thousands of people, some people say it was 5,000, others say it was closer to 10,000. It was thousands of people gathered on the Wall River outside Memphis. There was enough advanced warning that food and drinks were sold. It was a carnival atmosphere, according to many reports. We can only guess how the mob got a hold of Mr. Persons, but once they did, they chained him to a log and set him on fire, burned him alive. Oh, but wait, that's not all the white mob did. It got it got worse. After he was killed, at least he didn't have to suffer the pain anymore, but the crowd cut pieces from his body to keep as souvenirs. Yes, white people, this is what your forebears did for entertainment. I didn't mention that they had brought their children to witness this. They had brought their children to the lynching, and after they murdered a man by burning, they cut off his parts of his body so people could keep a fond remembrance of this glorious day. For fuck's sake. His head was severed, and postcards of his head were later sold as postcards. Some of his remains were scattered around Memphis as trophies. Some people took his head and one of his feet and put it in a bridge, I believe. It was a road into Memphis so that people could see it. Newspaper announcements talked about it. Nobody was convicted. I mean, nobody was convicted for this crime. What did we expect, really? This is about a society that turned racial terror into public entertainment and then called it justice. So the other day when I saw a long-haired white redneck guy acting out a lynching, I knew that things had not changed. And I know that some of you were getting ready to tell me, well, that was a long time ago. That could never happen now. Well, what do you think that guy in that video was practicing for? References are in the video notes. Please join me and get curious.
Let's take a deep breath with me so that we can talk. You know, if you see the level of the hate that this very woman is getting, oh, you're snitching on your people, oh, you're doing the job for them now because they can't do the job themselves anymore, so they're paying you to do the job. You know, this is what anyway, that's by the way. The confession out of him is something that is, I think, is familiar. These are things that do to black people that they want to deliberately take out. It's just like the situation of the Asians that we're having right now, where we see them, diverting their frustration to a doll that they call Natasha. The Natasha doll situation, just like that. Okay? They are frustrated inside. They are not happy with who they are. They are aware there is something inside of them that triggers something. Because one, it seems like maybe they miss their way to this planet. The sun is so hard on them. The weather is so hard, you know, and they know deep within themselves that they are not that special. So you see them transferring aggression, trying to just prove something by seeing a melanated being on alive before their face. There's this joy they feel, there's this fulfillment you see they have when they see that a melanated is on alive before them. So they can pay for anything. They just want to see that happen. They just want to see that happen. And that is why we had a lot of lynching situation in America. And like she said, they don't just do this thing, they carry their children with them. And then today we'll be talking about reparation, and some of these grandchildren and great grandchildren of theirs will be saying, "We are not the ones who lynched you. It was our great 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 parents." But you are part of them. The blood is running through your vein. If you had opportunity, you will still lynch more people. This pushed my mind to the Jim Crow law. Who is even Jim Crow in the first place? Who is Jim Crow? And why do we have a law like the Jim Crow law? Let's listen to this one.
Black history that you weren't taught in school. You likely know what Jim Crow was, but who was Jim Crow? How did he even get this name? Well, this man is actually this guy. It all starts with Thomas D. Rice, who was a playwright and performer. His most famous act by far was dressing up in blackface as a black man with exaggerated features and performing a song and dance called Jump Jim Crow. This act went mega viral, basically launching minstrel shows, which is where white men would dress up in blackface and make fun of black people by acting lazy, dumb, cowardly, all these different stereotypes. And in those shows, Jump Jim Crow was by far the most famous act. But how did it get the name? Well, back in the 1700s, racists referred to black people as crows, and it's not really certain why. And black men were usually referred to as boy or Jim. Basically this general name meant to depersonalize them. Just, hey, you all get the same name because you're all the same to us. I also used to wonder, why do they stand in this weird way? Well, the reason behind that is actually pretty dark. It actually came from the slaves themselves. See, they would notice the way that their owners and white elites would dance in this sort of posh, bougie, very formal, rigid way. And they would do the dance among themselves, sort of mocking their owners. The slave owners, getting a kick out of this, would often invite the slaves inside during parties to perform this dance for entertainment. They'd even have them compete against each other to see who did it the best, not knowing that the slaves were mocking them. Anyway, the winner of this competition would be awarded a cake, which is believed to be where the term "that takes the cake" or cakewalk comes from. So anyway, Jim Crow was not a real person, and the reason the racist laws got this name is likely just out of convenience. Two things that demeaned black people.
And then you ask a question. Why do black people do not trust the whitey, or why do melanated people do not trust the whitey guys or the whitey people? These are the reasons and more. In short, it's more than this. For the sake of the media, for the sake of YouTube policies, there are things that we cannot say, there are things we cannot bring out, you see. It's more than this. See? So a lot of this keep happening, and you want to come and act like a savior when we know who you are. And then, after having an understanding of this situation as a melanated in your right sense, then you hear Abigail talk to Mura and you say, Abigail just don't like these Y and T people. Hey, Abigail hate these Y and T people. Abigail this, Abigail that. When this is right before your face. Anyway, it's unfair, it's unfortunate, but these are facts that cannot be disputed. I'm going to leave you here today. What do you think? Leave your thoughts and opinion there in the section. I'll see you in my next one. Until then, love yourself, love others, stay safe, stay positive, always your majesties. Bye for now.